I'm going super casual today. Sweatshirt, you can see the baseball cap. I'm going major casual, strictly because, well, we're in the middle of a cold snap, and I know I probably should have dressed up, worn what I usually do, but, we're in the middle of a cold snap. So, yeah, I'm going very casual today. Now, to start things out, I'm going to intentionally make people kind of squirm, make people a little uncomfortable. I'm going to do this on purpose now. All right? You ready? Okay. Put yourself in this scenario. All right? You're working, you and your spouse. You're working 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. You pay the rent, keep the lights on, keep the TV on, keep the internet active, make sure there's food in the cupboard, make sure the kids have clothes for school, make sure the kids have lunch money. Your day to day. That's stressful enough. We know this. Now, in your stressful day to day life of coming and going and coming and going, the car breaks down. You're stuck in traffic. The car's broken down. Smoke boiling out from underneath the hood. But your son is still sitting there at t-ball practice waiting to be picked up. You barely make it. You barely make it anyway on bills. There's a saying, there's too much month into my paycheck. Now you've got a broken car. Let me take this to the younger crowd as well, so that everyone can kind of understand the stress here. All right, you've got homework due tomorrow in 5 classes. 5. You got finals coming up in a couple weeks. You got football or basketball or cheerleading practice. You got to keep in touch with your friends so you're not an outcast. When your parents go somewhere, you got to babysit your little brother or sister. You try and find odd jobs, babysitting, mowing lawns, washing cars, whatever, to make $1 or $2 so you can get something to eat when you want. All this at once. Everything. And on top of it, you've also got a 3-page essay on Napoleon Bonaparte that's due tomorrow. You're about halfway through it. You didn't wait till the last minute, but you've got some final things you got to do. So you sit down at your computer, get ready to go. You load up your file to finish it up. Power goes out. Great. So when the power comes back on, well, the Wi-Fi didn't come on with it. You have no Wi-Fi. And while you're trying to get the Wi-Fi up and running and going, unplugging and plugging it in, the standard, you get a text from your boyfriend or girlfriend. I think we need some time apart. Day-to-day life itself is rough. But when an unexpected thing gets thrown into the mix, it can become overwhelming. It's almost too much. The way I put it, life has thrown a massive storm right at your front door. A major storm. And the more things pile up, the more you dwell. It's like, I got to do this, and now this, and how am I going to do this? You wind up feeling like you're drowning in that storm. You don't know what to do, which way to turn. You either scream to God for help, Or do you condemn God and ask him why he's letting these things happen to you? In the book of Mark, and it's in Matthew too, is the famous story of Jesus calming the stormy sea. The storm was a major one. The disciples, they were no strangers to storms. I mean, Peter was a fisherman. He'd been on the water when a storm had hit. He dealt with them. So the disciples, fearing for their lives in this storm, it had to have been a massive, major storm. There's Jesus. Storm's raging, disciples are panicking, and Jesus is asleep. He's just snoozing away. And then did you notice when the disciples wake him up? And I mean, first thing he does, I mean, he doesn't chastise them at first. He doesn't say, "Why are you waking me up?" No, he gets up, goes to the bow of the ship. He doesn't yell and scream. He doesn't, "I command you to." He simply says, "Quiet, be still." No worry, no concern, no panic, not even a little, not even a little, okay, this is bigger than I thought. I understand why the disciples are upset. There was none of that. Despite a storm so large, the disciples were scared for their life. Jesus calmly just says, "Be still." The storms we face in life can, and often do, scare us. And we feel as if we're not going to get through it. It's too much. The weight of this is too much. We often feel that way. Even if there's nothing else added, like the car breaking down or no Wi-Fi. The stress, the anxiety, the worry, they all join together to make us feel like we're going to drown in our storm. And a lot of times we wonder, even I have at times, during this storm when things are loud, and that's the best analogy I can make. I mean, you understand it. When you're at your wit's end, there are things coming at you 20 different directions. Things are just, it's deafeningly loud. We can't hear God over the din of everything that's happening. You notice I said we can't hear him. I didn't say he's not talking to us. In the most violent of storms of life, it doesn't matter how stressed we are, how loud the storm is in our mind. In the most violent of those life storms, God doesn't scream, God doesn't yell to get our attention. God whispers. In the violent storm, he whispers to us, "Be still, be quiet." Now I'm going to tell you a story I haven't told many people. Probably because those who I did tell think I'm just making this up. But I'm telling you, this is 100% truth. When I was in my mid-20s, I was dating a girl. No, that's not the unbelievable part. But I was dating this girl, and I was absolutely crazy about her. And then I found out she cheated on me. And I found out this from one of her family members. She never told me. A family member told me. Needless to say, yes, I was an emotional mess. I remember it was the next night. I hadn't slept very well. I think I slept maybe an hour. But the next night, I'm sitting in my pickup up on top of this little mountain that overlooks our town. This was probably about 10 o'clock at night. So I mean, it's dark. All you see are the lights of the town. And I'm trying to sort through my anger, the pain, the confusion, trying to find a way, begging for it to stop. I don't mean suicide make it stop, just the storm in my head stop. Now, here's the part people don't believe. As plain as you can hear me talking right now, I heard a voice. I mean, I'm sitting there, storm raging in my head. I hear a voice in my head. Sleep, my child. Within moments, I was asleep. I mean, it was like someone hit me in the head with a hammer and knocked me out. I hear the voice in my, I mean, not out loud. I hear it in my head. Sleep, my child. And within 30 seconds, I was asleep. I woke up about probably half hour later. I didn't look at the clock, but I mean, it couldn't have been long. And I felt better. When I woke up, the problem was still there. The whole issue of what caused the storm in my head, that was still there. But I felt calmer. I felt better. I knew I was going to be able to heal and get through this situation. Whereas a half hour prior, I wasn't sure. Now, God didn't turn the world upside down. He didn't send a comet streaking across the sky for my attention. He didn't make the ground shake. He simply told me, go to sleep. Do you hear God whisper when your storm is raging? He's there. He's talking to you. But we get so caught up in the storm, we either don't listen or we let it drown him out. We kind of expect this loud, booming, earth-shaking voice, but he whispers. We think God's voice is going to be so loud we can hear it even without searching. We can hear it over the loudest of storms. But God whispers. He's always whispering. You just have to listen. Excuse me. Once we learn to listen for and hear that whisper, it then does become louder than any storm we can face. God doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't change the volume. He's still whispering. But once we learn how to listen for it, and once we find that voice, that whisper in the storm, it becomes louder than any storm the world can throw at you. His whisper can calm our nerves in the storms of life. His whisper can calm the very storm that we're afraid of. Just listen for it. When the storm rages the loudest is when we need to start listening hardest for that whisper. Can you hear him? He is whispering, quiet, be still.